Welcome. This will be my review of the 1980 arcade game Berzerk. Now, I played this through the Atari 50 Anniversary Collection. One second, I'm going to double check. Yeah, that is what it's called. Available on Steam. And I guess I should say this review will have no spoilers. Not that this is a game you could particularly spoil. And the let's see, I think that does cover. Yeah, I really love this game. Before I go further, I talked about sort of the overall traits of arcade and arcade style games in my video on Space Harrier 2, the first chunk of that video. So I'm not going to restate what I said there here for those who don't know much about arcade and arcade style games. Now, this, let's see, I guess a good place to start is, basically you are playing as a human who's in this maze overrun by, angry um, robots. Oh, right. I believe the game is rated E for everyone, so will this video be. Something like that, certainly. It's not violent or offensive. And, yeah, it was the style at the time to have this thing. I mean, this technically did come out before the first Terminator movie, but people were already like, oh, these robots, are they gonna, at some point, like try to take over or something, or I don't know, maybe they'll encourage people to become cult leaders, or yeah, who knows? And let's see. Yeah, so basically, the features here, and this is genuinely impressive for, I honestly would have thought stuff like this was only introduced at least a little bit later, but 1980, you can move in 8 directions in this and shoot in 8 directions. And, 8 directions, that's up, down, left, right, and the diagonals of those. And yeah, in on I'm guessing it had 2 joysticks on the machine. On PC, you move with WASD, and if you hold down W and D, you'll move diagonally upwards to the right. Yeah, and you shoot with the arrow keys, and again, same as I just described for WASD. And basically, shots move just slowly enough that and also it's like, try to, that's the thing, you can, the enemies can shoot at the same angles, so you have to move to a position where you can shoot an enemy, and then hurry up and shoot them and get out of the way in case they were fast enough to fire off a shot before you shot them. Yeah, and this has, this is going to sound like a ridiculous exaggeration, but I saw it in 2 different sources. This has 64,000 levels, which yeah, and basically, whenever and it's completely randomized which level you start in and what level you move to. And, it's an arcade game, so there's not technically, as far as I understand, you can't technically win. You could just get a high score, and then your character will die. And it is also like, I don't know that could anyone possibly get through 64,000? And I think even if you did, I think it would just start over with maybe without resetting your score, but and basically, at the when you start the game, there are um I don't know if it's more than, certainly at least some of the time, there's at least 2 exits to the area you're in, and you can use any of these exits. And once you've gone through an exit, you can't go back through the same one, and you don't have to worry about forgetting. Even I don't have to worry about forgetting, because they have they'll mark that exit as, there'll be like a, I guess it's supposed to be like a force field or a laser or something. I think you can try, but it'll kill you to try to move back through that. So you have to move to the next, exit, and along the way shoot robots. And let's see, I suppose that does cover that. So the camera remains completely still from a side view, which means that you can see, that's the fun thing about, it's described as a maze in some of the, was it the flyer for it maybe that came with the game? I forget. Oh, right. This is actually the first I've played of as far as the arcade games. I think this is the earliest in the Atari, earlier mentioned collection, where you can actually save, and that makes a lot of sense because, the others you don't. Let's see. There was one of them that had a level select, and the others, it's like, well, whether you play for a few minutes or if you last like an hour, it's not going to change that much. Where this, I don't know, I can imagine some people, now that it's on PC, they might want to try to see if they can make it through 64,000 levels. Yeah, I think yeah. So the camera, it's described as a maze, but technically you can see like, when I think maze, maybe especially in a video game, I think like, oh, I literally can't see if I'm walking into a dead end or not. There are the first person perspective maze games on PC. I do not remember what it's called, but there was like a first person shooter from the early 90s, I think fairly soon after Wolfenstein 3D. And Wolfenstein 3D itself is, a maze game, in addition to an amazing game. But yeah, basically, right, at this point, I guess I should mention, as far as I understand, earlier Wolfenstein game, there was at least one that was also this, somewhat similar to this, but with other features as well. But yeah. But yeah, you can always see where the potential exits are, and every enemy on the current screen. You're never going to be walking around a corner not knowing if there's an enemy right there. You might walk into a new area and there'll be an enemy very close by, so you have to be really quick on the trigger finger. And let's see, I think that does cover. So yeah, in addition to the regular, somewhat humanoid robots, you also have, if I recall correctly, he's referred to as Evil Otto. And ignore the fact that he looks like a bouncy ball smiley face, because he lives up to his name. he is very much an auto. And yeah, basically, like he in the flyer, he's described as the game's timer or something like that. You know, if the player dawdles in any one of these screens, Evil Otto will appear, and you can't destroy him. You can only put distance between you and him, which means moving ahead to the next screen. You know, it is... I can appreciate they didn't want anyone to like put a quarter in and then just stand there at a screen without doing anything. Because like hypothetically, you could shoot every robot enemy in a screen and then stand there until Otto shows up. And yeah, the enemy AI is good. The robots will shoot fairly quickly, and their aim is true. Otto is fast and follows you quite relentlessly. It's not impossible he was part of the inspiration for the Terminator, along with, you know, Soldier and Demon with a Glass Hand. And let's see. Yeah, it does effectively feel like you are in this, you know, I don't want to say hopeless, but like potentially lethal situation for you with all these robots. You know, there is a kind of cold, harsh feeling to it, which is very impressive considering like they don't have that many colors or that much animation to work with, but they still get there. And apparently, see, this is a thing where I really miss the arcade experience. According to the flyer, every so often, this would like if no one is playing this particular arcade game, when it's on, every so often it will like call out you know, potential players. Apparently one thing that it would say is, I can sense the unspent quarters in your pocket, or something along those lines, something to that effect. That's not a direct quote, which I guess does bring us nicely to the audio. Yeah, the audio for you dying or a robot being destroyed is, you know, nice. Makes an impression. You know, you feel like if you died, you really lost something, and if you destroyed a robot, like that was, you know, something. Like it felt like you actually did destroy something rather than just, you know, some pixels changed form. You know. And the laser blasts also sound quite good. Um, and yeah, this was, let's see, I think this was the first, or at least one of the first arcade games to have these voice, yeah. And apparently it was like, I think that was the thing that was super expensive. Like, um, yeah, I do not remember the details. Just the, yeah, and yeah, if you let's see, I think it's both when you destroy robots and when they take you out that there's these, you know, taunts and such from them. And yeah, it is. Maybe I've already answered this question, but you know, I would say it's fairly challenging, and it's definitely fun. And yeah, this is definitely a game that back in the day, yeah, I can imagine kids must have fed this a lot of quarters to see how far, you know, how high they could get the high score. And yeah, I thought they did well on the level design. Like, I mean, obviously, part of it is also, you know, I joked about how is it really a maze if you could see the exits, you know, to the one screen. Like legit, this game, I feel like somebody time traveled to make an arcade game that was like tailor made for me. So you're destroying robots. There's a relentless one hunting you, and you're in a maze. Like, if I had been able to play this when I was like 7, yeah, like I would have spent so long on it. But um today I have a bit more self-control, and there's a lot of other games I want to play. But yeah, I very much enjoyed my time with this. But but yeah, the level design, so the yeah, the levels feel just different enough from one another that it doesn't feel like you're just, they put you back at the start over and over. And the yeah. So the thing about, level design, the it being a maze, but you being able to see the exits to the screen you're currently on. Obviously, part of that is that it means, you know, so technically it is a maze because you can't see the full exit, only the exit that you're, you know, in the current screen, the current room. And in addition to that, I think there might have been technological limitation. I'm not sure they could have made like a maze, like something, first person perspective. Yeah, yeah, fairly confident they could not have done that back then. But it does also mean that you are able to move fast enough that Evil Auto is not going to be able to, because, like, hypothetically, if this had dead ends where you just didn't know that you were entering a dead end, yeah, like, basically, yeah, Evil Auto could trap you in an unfair, unfun way. I guess it bears mentioning. So, I mean, I've already said that it's side view, and technically you could see the exit. This does feel a little bit like those things that you would get on the. Is it called a placemat? The thing that when you go to like a family restaurant, the kids might get these things where there's like a maze that you can solve while waiting for your order to come through, or something like that. Yeah, it feels a bit like, I mean, the maze, the individual screens are easier than those mazes, but still. So again, makes perfect sense. Like this, like, imagine being like 7 and loving solving those mazes on the placemat, and then finding out, oh, you can solve a maze for like way longer, and there's going to be robots and firefights. Like, okay, that's yeah. Can I have my allowance for the next 10 years, please? And let's see, I think that does pretty much cover everything. Yeah, just I'm very impressed by this one. And this is one of those where, like, yeah, the fact that we can now play it for a really long time without having to insert quarters over and over is a wonderful thing. I think that is everything. Let's see. I'm gonna real quick mentally go over. So the let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've already made it clear, but essentially, like, the maze aspect for the individual screens is essentially just that you can't walk in a 100% straight line. You have to make turns, which already was like, there were a bunch of arcade games around this time where no, just like go in a straight line, like, um yeah. And let's see, the um I guess that pretty much covers. Yeah, I think that is everything. So Yeah. The let's see. What's the yeah. I rate this 8, fights against robots in a maze out of 10.